Well, no one in the world thought that I would do a double action comparison video, but yeah, here it is. I'm showing you all of my favorite double actions that I own, that I shoot, and that I carry, actually, believe it or not. I carry one of these guns. I'm going to talk to you about why I carry it, my experiences with it, so on and so forth, but allow you to have a overlooking comparison, especially for those of you who have a particular gun, you're thinking about getting another gun, how it compares, double action pull, single action pull, what is all that like, and recoil impulse, so on and so forth. So let's get to it. So first up, the Beretta. We've already talked about this gun extensively in my last video, talking about the Beretta Centurion from Wilson Combat. We've talked about its really unmatched double action trigger pull, its amazing single action trigger pull, and just the overall shootability of the gun. So we're not going to go into great detail, but we are going to use this as a comparison to kind of the same sizes of what's going on. So let's move to that CZ P07. It's a very popular polymer gun that people have been using for a few years now, that people just love and they rave about. And I guess some of the pros to the CZ is that it is very reliable. And when I say reliable, what I mean is, we got bullets in these guns. What I say is that, you know, I've not had an issue to where if ever I've pressed the trigger, the gun didn't go off. Whether it's the double action or the single action, if ever I press the trigger, the gun always went off. The gun is smaller, it's compact, and it is able to be very concealed when you carry it. It is a lot lighter of a gun, 15 round mag capacity, so on and so forth. But some of the things that I don't like about it is its snappiness. Let's look at that now. Now, we are at 25 yards, or excuse me, I apologize, we're at 35 yards on an A-zone, C-zone size steel. And what's great about this gun is the sights. Sights communicate very well with this 3-dot combat sight picture, communicates very well, but the trigger is just, it's a very hard, gritty, long double action pull, and the single action pull has these different breakdowns to it before the trigger will before the hammer will actually fall. I'm going to do that double action pull from here at 30 yards. Decocker is located on both sides of the gun. This can also be switched out for the safety, but I prefer the decocker specifically for me. So we're going to do some double action pulling. That was all me right there. So really easy to stay on target here at an A-zone, C-zone size steel at 35. Not a difficult thing to do, but the greatest features about this gun, in my opinion, the sights and the reliability that you get with the gun. The gun is a little bit fatter, and it's got some stuff sticking out of it. Obviously the decocker, if they could thin that down, that'd be great. Magazines go in and out very easily, but I do not like the lanyard right there, because when I jam this sucker up in there, boom, sometimes it doesn't go right there perfectly, it hits my palm, and I don't like that one bit. For $450, $475, you really cannot beat it. Super awesome gun. Well, how does that CZ compare to the Sig 229? That's a great question, I'm glad you've asked it. The Sig 229 has been around for a very long time, and believe it or not, it will continue to be around for a very, very long time. About the same size handgun. The Sig's a little bit longer. It's got a more pronounced beaver tail, as you can see. The decocker is not ambidextrous. The decocker is on the left side. This is aluminum and steel. It's very heavy, but what it makes up for in weight, it helps you in recoil management. So let's see what this gun looks like. Talk a little bit about the things I like, things I don't like. So as you can see, really smooth shooting. Gun tracks really well, feels really good in my hands. Doesn't move around as much as what I feel like the CZ does. I feel like I can grip this kind of medium wise and the gun does a lot of work for me, as opposed to the CZ where it feels like it just moves around more and I have to like compensate by holding it down. As you see, not a real problem hitting the target here, but we do have another combat sight picture. But between the two sights, I definitely prefer the CZ sights over the Sig sights. Now these are Sig night sights. They come with the 229 Elite. But in my opinion, they're just not as good as I want them to be. And to be honest, I've not tried really any other Sig sights or any other sights that go on the 229. This is just kind of what I've had forever and ever and ever. I first bought a Sig 226 when I was 21 years old for $500, and after that I moved to a 229 and 40, and I never knew why I got rid of that gun. I carried that gun for a number of years and then sold it. I feel so bad for saying that. I sold it back to the gun shop for like $200. I know, just somebody killed me. And but no, it's always been a favorite handgun of mine. Extremely reliable. Pour sand, dirt, water on it, it's still going to work, even when you rack it like we've seen. Great single action trigger, but now let's look at that double action trigger. That was all me right there. Nick. Super nice. So how do I compare these two? If I were to say, hey, what's the double action like of the CZ and the double action like on... I feel like the CZ is more choppy. I feel like it wants to go but this right here feels like it wants to go and I guess that is the single action part of it, or not the single action, just reaching that very breaking point where the hammer wants to come down. But this is a lot easier to pull back. I think it's like 8 or 9 pounds, but for whatever reason, the pathway on the Sig 229 Elite of when you pull that double action back feels so much cleaner. It doesn't feel as, this just feels like it's in elementary school, shapes and colors, and this feels like it's off for college, like it wants to go off and get its degree. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. Sig 229, amazing gun, and had a little over 2,500 rounds through it, not a single malfunction. These are just as reliable as Glocks, just as reliable as Berettas. There's people who make double actions well, and there's people that don't make double actions well at all. Here is a whole list of companies that I think that make double actions really, really well, and that I have enjoyable experiences from. Now, moving on, boom, H&K P30. Wow, this gun right here, really excited about. Kind of want to show you what that shootability and reliability is like here at 35. pros and cons about the HK P30. This gun I bought used. I bought it for like 450 bucks. I love used guns because, well, to be honest with you, I love a gun that's, you know, gone through its paces. And usually, if a gun's gonna break and not work, it's gonna work within that first 1,000 rounds, 2,000 rounds, somewhere around there. But as you saw, this gun is a little bit harder for me to hold on to. It's got a really light lower half and a heavier upper half. So when that moves, it just means more weight, more energy that's coming back in the shooter, and then it has to resettle when it goes back in the battery. Sights are a combat sight picture. They're not my favorite, but they do work, and out of all of these guns, they're my least favorite. That doesn't really mean anything. They're glow-in-the-dark sights, which are pretty cool if you go into a very bright environment to a very low-light environment, neither here nor there. I do like the look of the P30. It looks really sweet. You get the reliability of a hammer-fire gun, and the decocker is located on the back end of the gun, which is something I dig. It takes away from the profile of the gun and doesn't really get in the way. Another thing I like about the HK P30 is it's got paddle holsters. Or paddle holsters, I'm dumb. Paddle magazine release, paddle holsters, whatever those are. Like the old Serpa holsters that had the paddles on them. But this goes in and out really easily, and I love the paddle release on these, and I'm just really pleased with this gun. As you saw though, a little harder to keep on target as far as, you know, just the recoil impulse of the gun. The gun does sit higher in your hand, but neither here nor there. Really is not something that it's not really bad. You can get LEM triggers for these, meaning that you have shorter resets and shorter trigger pulls. It's essentially just a spring kit and a couple of other components that I don't know anything about. And yeah, other than that, the gun is solid. Let's see some of that double action pull. I don't know if that was hit or a nick. And there you go. This is probably the roughest double action out of them all. If you got the HK P30, definitely recommend getting the LEM trigger for it. And this just, like the Sig, like the CZ, it's as tough as a Sig, but compared to the CZ, it just, it just takes a lot to pull it. So we're actually gonna throw some, we're gonna throw a trigger weight communicator so you can see what the double action and the single action is like out of all these guns. I told you that I was gonna bring on the trigger weight doohickey thing, but I must have misplaced it, or I must have had a wife who misplaced it. Neither here nor there. So to make up for it, we're gonna shoot this Wilson Combat double action, single action here at 35 yards. I hate missing. It's like, it is the worst thing, especially on camera, because I don't redo these, so I hate it. Wilson Combat, man, this gun is just phenomenal. Go check out my other YouTube video on that. I'm gonna let you see kind of the recoil impulse from slow-mo so you can have something to compare it to. Okay, so here we are at 50. We're gonna do some single action only pull. We're gonna talk about the single action pull in each gun and what is allowing us to be successful here at 50. Miss right there. It's really easy for me to connect with this gun at 50 with the single action, not necessarily with the double action though. All right, let's move on to Sig, shall we? A little high. So, again, double action, not so much. Single action, I can connect, especially with these sights here at 50, not a problem. Moving on, H&K P30, here we go. High to the left. Again, not a thing, especially combination of sights and trigger, not a thing for me to connect to 50. Wilson Combat. High to the left. High. One hit. So, why did I only hit twice? Or why did I only hit once out of 3? Probably because of just the sights. Sights are my biggest complaint on the Beretta. Although they're not that bad, it's still one of those complaints that I have. It's hard for me to really get that good clear communication here at 50. So let's look at each of the double action pulls. Now I said double action, but you all know what I meant, single action. Guns unloaded, can't hurt you or anybody else around me. Pull the sucker back. A lot of pre-travel, there's my wall. Boom. Let's do a reset on that. Reset. Wall. Oh, there we go. So, a few hiccups before we get to where we need to go. Long reset, short. Well, still, you can feel the springs do its thing. Very nice once you get to like right here. Everywhere else getting in between there. It's hard to look at. Let's do Sig. Stay in order. It's unloaded, can't hurt me or anybody else around me. Single action. Wall. Boom. Now this is the LEM model. Short reset. It kind of like forced me forward and I came back. Let's do it again. Reset. Boom. Love this trigger. Awesome. 229 Elite. HK P30. Guns loaded. Wall. Reset. Wall. Reset. Ooh. Wall. So not a lot of hiccup going on. Hard to do. Don't like it at all. Get away from me, gnats! Hate you. Don't know why the good Lord created you. Wilson Combat. Pre-travel to wall. And then it just goes. There's no hiccups. There's no reset long, reset short. Or resets long, light reset. Wall. Oop, nothing to it. And look at this. And that's where it starts to give me some resistance. All that's smooth as butter. Right there. Watch that again. I mean, it's just amazing. By far the best trigger out of them all. But we're looking at $1,100, $900, usually $700, somewhere around there, and $450. So a lot of people say, hey Barrett, you can't compare them all. Sure I can. Here they all are and I'm comparing them. So don't say stupid things on the internet. I can most certainly compare them. They're not going to be in the same category as price, obviously, right? They're not going to be in the same category as manufacturer, obviously. But they are in the same category of, do I want to carry it? Are they reliable? Sand, dirt, water test, it'll pass. Sand, dirt, water test, it'll pass. I don't know if this will pass a sand, a dirt, or water test. I have no idea. I've not yet done it. And I know that this one will pass a water test, but I don't know about sand and dirt. So we'll test out those things for you and let you know in their own individual respective videos. So Pastor Barrett, what are the benefits of carrying a double action, single action gun? It's a fantastic question. I'm glad you've asked it. First, really what it comes down to is when that gun comes out of the holster and you go point that gun at somebody else, your finger going on the trigger is not going to mean that the gun's gonna go off. There's a lot of guns out there that have hair triggers. Single action guns like 2011s, 1911s, you pull that out, safety comes off, your finger goes on the trigger, depends on how you have it, may just go off. Especially in a judgment scenario where it takes a little bit more mind power and a lot less motor learning from your handgun skills. Having a finger go on the trigger early could make the gun go off. And you may not mean for it to, something may startle you and you pull it and the gun goes off and whatever it happens to be and somebody dies that doesn't need to die. So that's one reason why you may want to carry a double action gun. Another reason why you're going to carry a double action gun is because there's no way that this hammer in this position is going to pull off and then fall to discharge in your pants. The more you mess with Glocks, the more you mess with polymer guns that are striker fire guns that are constantly under tension to release that firing pin or the striker, the more likely that you are going to have a gun that may just go off in your pants. Now, I know that's scary to some people, and to others it's not. Really what it comes down to is making sure you do drop testing with your striker-fired guns. So if you are fiddle-farting around with your guns, and you are messing with, if you're messing with connectors, if you're messing with springs, plunger safety springs, anything like that, even if it's flopping out the trigger, guys, you're compromising the safety of the gun if you were to be in a car accident. Well, if you're carrying an appendix and you get into a car accident, that gun may just go off. I've had one report of somebody telling me that that's happened to them, and that's awful. You know, there's a number of reasons why people like double action over single action guns, or over strike fire guns and single action guns, but primarily for me, I like the safety benefit. I like the safety benefit of knowing that if I put this gun down my pants, it's not going to go off because I fall down the ground or something hits it or I hit it, or, you know, whatever miss of scenarios you can think about specifically. So that's why I do like double action guns, but I carry a Glock because I carry a stock Glock, I carry a Salient Arms Glock 19, and there's other guns that I carry. But out of this lot, which gun do I carry? It's a great question. I'm glad you've asked it. And the drum roll plays. The Sig P229. I've carried this gun for years. I love it. It's just one of those guns that I work well with. Still learning more about how to be the best that I can with it, so I'm not as proficient with it as I am a Glock, but it really doesn't make a difference to me. The second gun I will definitely be carrying is the Wilson Combat Centurion. I'm having a holster from Tier 1 Concealed made for this right now. This gun, I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna get some new sights for it, but as far as the reliability is concerned, as far as how smooth it is, it feels like a work of art in my hand. It's a little bit more expensive than the rest of these guns, but like we said in our review of this gun, this is $1,100, $1,200 gun, and it feels like I'm spending $1,000 on a $3,000 scar. I mean, it feels like I'm getting way more out of my money than what I'm paying for. So that's one of the things that I like about the Beretta. Not only that, it's smooth, able to shoot really fast, 17 rounds. It's a bigger gun, but neither here nor there. Let's throw all the guns next to each other, compare them side by side.
All right. Let's get everything together and kind of compare it, just so you can see what's going on here.
So you see the couple notifications or comments is the HK VP9 doesn't have really a beaver tail, right? Like everything else does. A couple of things, the Sig is a little fatter. It looks like about the same width as the P30. Actually, the CZ is actually the thickest out of them all, believe it or not. It just gives that look as though it's not, but it is. And the Beretta is the thinnest, but the Beretta is also the largest out of them all, as you saw. So guys, there you have it. nice little video for you just to kind of compare some of the guns and to have a little bit more research done about the guns, so on and so forth. If you got any questions, I've spent extensive time with all of these handguns. Let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do to help you out. Got a couple of other guns that are coming soon. I've got the Sphinx from Chris USA. Double action gun that they're going to send me. I've got the Beretta A3 that Beretta's sending me. Let's see, what else do I have coming sometime soon? Other than a CZ Shadow, that's the only other gun that I have on my list. If you, I've got a Steyr coming soon, I think, from Steyr Arms. I'm kind of excited about that. It's striker fired, so it's a little bit different gun. It'll go into our best out of the box gun series. But if you got any questions, like I said, holler at your boy. Hold fast to the course. True Exodus. Pastor Barrett, out.